Nothing quite like watching a 100+ mile-an-hour boat try and work its way out of Haulover, only to find out they're not going to be going anywhere near 100 miles an hour as this crew's coming through on a pretty rough day down here at Haulover. Not the ideal day to have a boat like this, but welcome back, crew, to Boats vs. Haulover, where man and machine take on Mother Nature down at beautiful Haulover Inlet here in Miami. And our crew does wind up making it out, but of course they didn't come barreling out at 100 miles an hour. But as you can see from these conditions, it's going to be an interesting day, and interesting to see how our captains fare as they step in the ring and try and do battle with the inlet. And this, of course, is going to bring us to the first round of our competition, and here in the first round, the boats are going to toss a Sea Fox in the ring to see how it'll fare against Haulover. But let's go, round one, ring the bell. Our crew's working their way out pretty darn slow, and that's not a good method as they wind up stuffing it before they even get into the heavy rollers. It's going to be one heck of a ride for this crew. I'm not sure what's going on here. Look at how high up the engine's even trimmed on this one. Something is going on here, but the crew, they're taking it easy coming out, but I mean, they don't have a ton of grip from that prop with the engine trimmed as high as it is as well, which might be part of their problem. I'm wondering if Cap just doesn't realize it, and that's why they can't get this thing up on plane. But here they come out fairly slow. They wind up stuffing the bow several times, but they're just in no rush to try and work their way out any faster on this one. But unfortunately for this crew, we've only got a few rules on BVH. One, if you stuff the bow, you take the loss, and unfortunately for this crew, they stuffed it multiple times, and they're going to wind up taking a loss for the boats here in the first round, which is not a good start for the boats, especially on a rough day. Boats got some work cut out for them to try and come back in this one. This is going to give Haulover Inlet the early 1-0 edge as we move into the second round of our competition. But here in the second round, the boats are going to go big or go home as they're going to toss a massive scout in the ring to see how it fares against Haulover. These scouts are more than capable even on a rough day. Every time I watch these boats come out, I get more and more impressed, but we got a guy standing on the ladder on the back. Not a good idea as they try to work their way out of the mouth of the inlet. Quickly, he winds up getting down. Wise idea, 2 feet on the deck or a butt in the seat is the best way to experience Haulover Inlet. And this crew, they've got the boat up on plane, letting this boat do its thing as it comes working through Haulover, eating these massive rollers up as they try and work their way out. And as we would project, this big scout with quad 600s on the back is not going to have any issues whatsoever working its way out, even on a rough day. Haulover threw a lot at this boat, but this boat took it like a champ and winds up taking a win for the boats here in the second round. And this, of course, is going to lead us into the third round of our competition, and we are now tied at 1 apiece. And here in the third round, the boats are going to toss an Evolve 360 HT in the ring to see how it can fare against Haulover. And here we go, round 3. And this is an absolutely horrid idea. I don't know who thought of this, but man, this is about as dumb as it gets coming through Haulover Inlet. I'm surprised Cap has let this crew get up here and get away with this one. But Cap is going slow, stuffing the bow. I'm sure most of this is intentional at this point in time, but still a risky play. Trying to get this bow wet, all of a sudden it's going to be slippery with people just standing up here. It is just not a good plan or a good idea whatsoever. So our crew starts to barely inch their way toward the mouth of Haulover Inlet, but it looks like, yep, we're going to go ahead and get that patented Haulover U-turn. Our crew decides it's a little too rough for this, and of course it's definitely too rough for it with that many people in the bow of the boat. But again, multiple stuffings on this one, and just for being a dumb idea, this crew's going to wind up taking the loss here in the third round, and that's going to give Haulover the 2-1 edge as we move into the fourth round of our contest. And now the boats are in a pinch. The fourth round is a must-win for them, or this one will be all over. But here we go. In the fourth round, the boats are going to toss a Midnight Express in the ring to see how she can fare against Haulover, and let's see how this captain rolls. And here we go as he makes his way out. They lean into the throttles a little bit, getting the boat up on plane, trying to get that bow high so they don't wind up stuffing the bow as they come out. It's a rough day. Let's see how this plan plays out for them as they're going to wind up getting worked a little bit as they work their way out into the rollers. Cap keeps on the throttle, keeps the boat moving, and they wind up pushing through it. It's a rough day down here at Haulover. We're not going to see a ton of great exits, but this one is probably one of the better ones we've seen today. They didn't come barreling out in an extremely high pace, but what they did do was go out fast enough to keep the boat just barely up on plane, to keep that bow high, and let the boat do its thing as it cuts through these waves. They did get pretty close right there to stuffing the bow on one of those waves just a couple back, but overall, not a bad performance, and they'll wind up taking a win for the boats, and that's going to bring us to a 2-2 tie as we move into the 5th and final round of our contest. And here in the 5th round, the boats are going to bring a Sea Ray into the ring to try and close it out strong, and let's go. Let's see if the boats can make a comeback victory here and wind up taking the win. So our crew is working their way out. Again, big Sea Ray shouldn't be an issue. Cap's working his way methodically through the inlet, boats at a good pace. I mean, this is a big yacht. It's not one of those ones you necessarily need to come blasting out full power. You want just the right pace where you don't wind up stuffing the bow and you can keep that bow up. Our crew looks pretty good so far, but they are working their way out into the heavier rollers, and it's going to be interesting to see how the vessel fares once it starts getting hit by these bigger waves. Here we can see the vessel is definitely starting to roll as they're moving through these large monster waves as it comes pushing through, and oh no! Our girl went down. Haulover winds up rocking this boat so hard, our girl, butt in a seat, winds up taking a seat on the deck. Right here you'll see the boat just starts rocking and rolling, and she winds up falling out of the chair, and Haulover smacked him around so hard that she winds up going down. Our crew makes the wise call. When something like this happens, you probably realize this isn't the day for us. We probably don't need to be out here unless they really had to go somewhere. So our crew winds up turning it around, and they're heading back into Haulover, doing the old Haulover U-turn. And unfortunately in this one, with our girl going down and this crew having to U-turn it up and head back in, they are going to wind up taking a loss for the boats here in the 5th round, which means Haulover is going to wind up taking the win in this episode. Thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Boats vs. Haulover. If you did, please check out our other content. We have Wavy Boats, who does a bunch of great things down at the inlets. We have my channel, Broncos Guru, do some great comedy boating videos there as well. And of course, we got the Miami Boat Ramps channel that focuses on all the hilarity that happens at the boat ramps down in South Florida. Please check those other channels out if you have not. And also, if you haven't, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.